You know, every once in a while, an athlete comes along who doesn't just play the game, they completely change it. Today, we're digging into how one of the true legends was forged, not by some kind of magic, but by a relentless, grinding pursuit of mastery. All right, let's get into this.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It tells you right off the bat that the story of Lionel Messi isn't about raw physical gifts. Nope. It's about something way deeper, something you could never, ever measure with a stat sheet.
And that, right there, is the big question we're tackling. We see this unbelievable genius on the field, and our first instinct is to call it a gift. But what if it's not? What if it's actually something else entirely? What if it's a choice? A choice that gets made over and over every single day.
Okay, so first things first, let's start peeling back the layers of this legend. We're going to go way past the highlight reels and the trophies to find the real engine, the thing that was powering all that so-called magic. And this really shows you the two sides of the coin, right? What we all see is the slick final product, the unbelievable goals, the mountain of trophies, these moments that look absolutely effortless. But underneath all of that, that's where the real story is, the grit, the sacrifice, and this deep, unwavering trust in the process. That's where the legend was actually built.
Now this is where the story gets really powerful, because we're about to see how his biggest perceived weaknesses, the things that should have held him back, became the very source of his greatest strengths. Think about this. At a young age, he gets diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency. On top of that, critics and coaches are constantly overlooking him. Why? Because he's too small. I mean, for most people, that's game over. That's where the dream dies. But for him, that diagnosis, all that criticism, it was just the beginning.
And this is the pivot. The whole game changes here. It's a mental shift. Instead of seeing his size as a dead end, he saw it as a problem to solve. It meant he had to outthink, outwork, and outmaneuver absolutely everyone else. He made a decision. Every doubt, every single dismissal was just going to become more fuel for his fire. So what are we really talking about here? We're talking about grit. And grit isn't some magical quality you're born with. It's a mindset. It's a choice. It's the decision to put in the work when the stadium is empty and no one is watching. It's learning to see every mistake as a lesson, and it's taking every single challenge and turning it into fuel. So, okay, if grit's the mindset, what's the actual method? Now we're going to look at the architecture of his excellence, the specific, repeatable things he did that actually built his skill. Thousands. Just let that number sink in for a minute. For every 90 minutes of magic we get to see on TV, there are literally thousands of hours of unseen, grinding, relentless practice behind it. That's where instinct is forged. That's where the magic is actually manufactured. And look, this isn't about some one-time heroic effort. It's a process. It's the simple and sometimes boring discipline of just showing up every single day. It's about treating your mistakes not as failures, but just as data. It's understanding that real growth only, and I mean only, happens when you push yourself past what's comfortable. And maybe most importantly, it's about trusting that process, focusing on the work itself, not just the prize at the end. And that's really what it all boils down to, isn't it? Excellence is a daily commitment. Every single morning, you get to choose to show up and get just a little bit better. Greatness is simply what happens when you stack thousands of those small choices on top of each other. All right, so this is the part where we turn the camera around. Because, yeah, we've been talking about Messi, but the real power in his story is what it teaches us about ourselves. It's time to turn the mirror inward.
Think about it like this. In pretty much any field, talent might get you in the door. It's that first 20%. But mastery, the thing that truly separates the good from the legendary, that's the other 80%. That is all about the effort you put in and your resilience when you inevitably get knocked down. So here's the challenge for you. Your field might be coding or teaching or leading a team or painting. The context doesn't matter at all. The real question is, can you bring that same relentless dedication to refining your own craft, whatever it happens to be? So it's time for a mindset shift. Forget waiting for luck or needing other people's approval. You don't need to be the strongest or the most naturally gifted person in the room. What you do need is focus, a genuine obsession with your process, and a relentless, unbreakable will to just keep improving. And that brings us right here to our final section. We've unpacked the mindset. We've looked at the method. Now it's about putting it all into action and starting to write your own legend on your own terms. So if you're going to take anything away from all this, let it be these 5 lessons.
1. Embrace humility, because real greatness doesn't need to shout. 2. Persist relentlessly. Obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're just part of the journey. 3. You gotta love what you do, because passion is the fuel for endurance. 4. Trust your process. Talent without effort is just wasted potential. And finally, number 5, transform doubt into drive. Criticism is just a signal, it's not the final verdict.
Just let that one sink in for a second. Real, lasting greatness is never, ever forged in the comfort zone. It's born from the courage to face down challenges, the willingness to make sacrifices, and that unwavering, relentless pursuit of getting better.
So here's the final charge, the call to action. Whatever your field is, step onto it with purpose. Take control of your life, of your ball, and stop letting other people or even your own self-doubt define what your limits are. Because make no mistake about it, the world is going to test you. It will challenge your patience, your will, your resolve. At the end of the day, the only thing that really matters, the one question that will define your entire journey, is how you choose to respond.